Hi, I'm Aiden Danini. This is Crash Course US History, and today we are going to be talking about the Spanish Inquisition. An Inquisition is an institution in a church that tries to combat heresy, witches, by being really mean and scary and occasionally trying to rip people's teeth out.
But Aiden! How will the people in charge know of heresy?
Well, little Aiden, anyone at this time could snitch on someone else, whether it was true or not. Like the Salem witch trial. Established in 1478 by Pope Sixtus IV, Christians attempted to purify all areas across the world. Tribunals, which are, mercilessly tortured and killed anyone who was convicted of heresy. When people were discovered as heretics, they were taken out into these giant crowds and they were publicly shamed and tortured. The people who were in charge weren't trying to actually punish these people for practicing Judaism. They were trying to get a confession out of them and get them to repent for their sins. One of the most important events that actually happened during this time was the Edict of Grace. This was a significant sign to the people that tribunals have moved into the citizens' territory. With this edict, all non-Christians were promised mercy if they confessed heresy in the first 40 days. Although mercy was promised, most of the time it was not carried out and they would just get tortured anyway. This was their way of getting them to confess.
Aiden! How did they get tortured?
You see, many of the devices that they were using would inflict permanent damage or death, such as the rack. The rack was a long board the tribunals would tie the victim's limbs to. They would then pull at each of the limbs with great force with ropes and attempt to break all of their bones. That's my demonstration. When they pulled at the limbs, they would add hot coals to the victim's torso or other various forms of pain, such as poking and burning, if they felt like pulling at it. Another big device that was used in this time was called Interrogato Mejorado del Agua, also known as waterboarding. This device was used less to inflict physical pain on the people and more to inflict psychological distraught. The tribunals would strap the heretic to a table, all of his limbs tied back, and place a towel on his head. They would then pour gallons upon gallons of water on the heretic's face in order to give the sensation of drowning. This would force the heretics to comply and shortly confess their heresy. There were thousands of other small devices they used as a way to torture or confess heresy. One was burning on the stake, starvation, forced consumption of dozens of gallons of water at one time, using hot coals on various parts of the body, and much more. Originally, Jewish people were the first target of the tribunals, and when they were convicted of the heresy, all of their property was taken and they were imprisoned. They could be accused by anyone, even their neighbors and friends, and the chances of their testimony were slim to none. Families of these people were forced to book it and find a new home to live in, or they would have to live on the streets. There was no aid to the people that were taken for heresy. Furthermore, anyone who was Jewish and converted to Christian, as the tribunals wanted, were not safe either. The tribunals would watch them every second of the day to try and catch them in the act of practicing Judaism, and if they were caught doing this, they were tortured and killed. Later, their focus was shifted from the Jewish to the Moriscos, who were of Islamic descent. The people in charge, also known as the tribunals, felt as though they had converted or killed all the Jewish people that they needed to, and they wanted to move on. In 1609, an edict was passed that forced all of these Moriscos to leave the country or they would be killed. They were performing the same hostility and torture on the Moriscos as they did on the Jewish people. After over 350 grueling years of this, Queen Isabella II finally ended this Inquisition, and it was all terminated. I'm Aiden Danini, and this has been your Crash Course US History. Thank you for watching. An Inquisition is... Jesus Christ, that church, Oh my God!
But Aiden! How will the people know?
And how you should apologize for that, and how you should... Dang it, I forgot the word! Completely tortured in front of everyone, and it completely... No, it didn't embarrass them. Each of the limbs with ropes to punish. No, they weren't punishing them. Towel on his head. They would then pour Dang it! These Moriscos. Don't say these. We'd be deep diving into Spanish Inquisition. Why are we deep diving?
That's all. Thank you.